Here's a classic. This is a young Marilyn Monroe doing a pinup shoot for Earl Moran. The photo was taken back in 1947. To promote his movie Frenzy, Alfred Hitchcock did something pretty wild. He announced he was coming back home to London from Hollywood by floating a lifelike mannequin of himself in the Thames River back in 1972. Here's a photo of a child coal miner from around 1900. Here's a photo showing bomb damage in Manchester during World War II. Here's a photo of children playing doctors. It looks like a fun game. Leda and the Swan from the 1920s. Check out this awesome shot. It's the Sky Dancers in Chicago, way back in 1955. This incredible photo shows English archaeologist Howard Carter. He's opening the innermost part of King Tutankhamun's tomb, just after it was discovered near Luxor, Egypt, back in 1922. Here's a photo of Stefan Bobrowski, also known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. Stefan suffered from a condition called hypertrichosis. This made hair grow up to 8 inches long all over his body, including, as you can see, his face. Here's a photo from 1946. It shows a young child suffering during a famine. It's a heartbreaking image. This is a shot of downtown Shanghai, all the way back in 1930. This is a pretty grim one. We're looking at what's called the tramp chair. It was used way back in 1899 to lock up beggars, sometimes for as long as 10 hours at a time. This photo shows a picket line for the Humane Society back in 1940. You can see them protesting at 42nd Street and 6th Avenue. This dramatic photo captures a tense moment in a Hollywood parking lot back in 1973. We see a security guard pointing his gun at a man named Edward F. Fisher. He's holding a woman, Ellen Sheldon, during what appears to be a kidnapping attempt. Talk about high stakes. Here's a look back to 1956, when animals were already playing a key role in helping people heal. This photo shows how they assisted in medical therapy sessions, really highlighting their importance in promoting patient well-being. All right, here we go. This photo shows the iconic Flatiron Building. It's standing right there on 5th Avenue and Broadway, and it was taken way back in the year 1920. This photo shows members of the Young Pioneers, which was a Soviet government youth group. They're putting on gas masks as part of an attack preparation drill. This was taken in the Leningrad area all the way back in 1937. Check out this cool folding piano, specifically designed for folks stuck in bed. This one's from Great Britain, back in 1935. Here's the photo. It's from a series called Children's Dreams here in the United States. And what we're looking at is a child, with roots instead of hands. It's really quite something. This was taken by Arthur Tress back in 1965. Here's a photo of Marlon Brando with author James Baldwin at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. This was back on August 28, 1963. Here's a picture of something really heavy. It shows a Gestapo informer being recognized by a woman she betrayed. This all happened in a deportation camp in Dessau, Germany. All right, check this out. Here's a cool photo of motorbike chariot races in London, way back in 1927. Here's a photograph of Aboriginal Tasmanian Fanny Cochrane Smith. She's singing into her phonograph back in 1903. If it weren't for her efforts to preserve her culture, we wouldn't have any audio traces of the Tasmanian language. All right, check this out. Future Speed Demons. This photo shows some real speed aces from 1950, tearing it up around the Indianapolis Speedway. They're behind the wheels of their 1-horsepower specials, and they're absolutely flying at a speed of 20 miles an hour. Here's a picture of the sinking of the Andrea Doria, which happened way back in 1956. All right, check this out. It's a photo of 3 guys and they're on a Halloween card. Pretty cool, right? Here's a photo of a woman, probably goofing around while taking some pictures. It's from the late 1800s, so a really old photograph. Here's a photo from way back when, taken in 1936. It shows a competitor and her pet toad at the children's pet shows in Venice Beach, California. Isn't that something? Here's a picture of women factory workers taken inside a cotton mill in Lancashire, England. It's from around 1908. All right, here's the photo. It's a classic. Salvador Dali, the surrealist master himself. He's posing for the photograph called Dali Atomicus. This one was a collaboration between Dali and the American photographer, Felipe Halsman, and it was published in 1948. This photo shows a starving inmate from Camp Gusen in Austria, taken in 1945. This is a photo of Albert Einstein. He's posing for a bust created by Arthur Lowenthal back in Berlin in 1930. All right, check out this picture. It's a really cool mechanical street washer from the 1930s. What's wild is it had the capability to spray both poison gas and water. Imagine that. Here's the photo of Metallica. They're playing a 10-song set inside San Quentin prison. This was all during the filming of their Saint Anger video, and they were under some pretty strict rules from the warden. This was in San Quentin, California, on May 1st, 2003. Pesky lakes and rivers didn't have to interrupt the carefree bliss of bicycling back in the early 1900s, you know? This thing, an amphibicycle, let folks just keep on going, right over the water. Check out these leather friends. This photo was taken on the 16th of June, 1930. You've got G.W. Walker on number 5 and H.G. Tyndall at the Isle of Man motorcycling race. Cool stuff. Here's a shot of Marilyn Monroe, back in 1954, performing for thousands of American troops in Korea. Here's a photo of a German policeman from the year 1926. This photo was taken way back in Old Mexico in 1898. It shows someone carrying a disabled person. You can really feel the weight of the moment. Here's a photo of the Brooks family. We see 13 sisters gazing at their only brother, Leslie Benjamin, just after he was born. This sweet moment happened at their home in Pittsfield, Massachusetts back in 1954. This is a look inside the Vatican, specifically the Chambre des Bustes and the Galerie des Statues. The photo was taken around 1855. Alright, check this out. Here's a photo of Patrick Swayze back in the 70s dancing. Looks like he's having a blast. Here's a photo from China showing leprosy patients. It looks like this was taken sometime between 1890 and the 1910s. The person in the middle seems to have a very severe stage of the disease. Here's a picture of Italian drivers taking a nap in their carts in Rome back in 1908. This photo shows a mother, back in 1937, carefully fastening a sign to her son's back. The sign simply reads, "Please, Mr. Motorist, watch out for me." Seems like he was about to head out on a trial bicycle ride. This photo takes us back to New York in 1942. We see someone posting ceiling prices, and they've made sure to include both English and several foreign languages. It's a fascinating glimpse into that time. Here's a look back at a pretty cool moment in history. This is an early electric-powered Bersey cab, and it gives us a peek at the innovative but definitely tricky transition to electric taxis. This picture was taken in London, England, back in 1897. Melba. Wow, she was hotter than the weather. Here's a fascinating photo. We're looking at Grand Duke Alexis of Russia's super fancy Landau. That's a type of carriage, but with a twist. Instead of horses, it's being pulled by a Heilmann electric tractor. It's a cool mix of old and new, the classic carriage design paired with this early electric technology. This photo was taken around 1898. Alright, so check this out. There's this amazing photo of a couple in Central Park, way back in 1957. The city is all lit up behind them and they're huddled together. They're sharing a cigarette under a glowing street lamp, trying to keep warm. It's such a classic romantic shot, isn't it? Romantic. Here's a shot of Bob Marley on his wedding day. It's from 1966. Here's a look at a photo from 1891. It shows several teepees with a school for Indians in the background. This photo takes us back to the 1930s, to the shadowy streets of London. It's a glimpse of the city's underworld, perhaps depicting a scene from a time when organized crime was really starting to take hold. Here's a great shot of some American sailors back in 1918 enjoying themselves. They're watching their mascots, a dog named Fritz and a goat named Bill, getting up to some mischief. You can see the smiles on their faces. Seems like these animals really brighten their day. It shows a baker in 1935 delivering bread through floodwater in Langport, Somerset. This shocking photo shows James Brock, the motel manager, back in 1964. He's captured pouring muriatic acid into the pool to get the protesters out. It's a really disturbing image. Alright, here's the photo. It's Henry Cabot Lodge, and he's pointing right at a bugging device. You know, the one that was hidden inside the Great Seal. Pretty wild, huh? This photo is from 1933. It shows a kid standing in a cornfield. He planted it himself, but unfortunately, it was completely destroyed by locusts. This photo shows a railway signal box back on the 31st of December, 1931. We see a signalman hard at work, managing the controls at Welwyn North Station in Hertfordshire. You can see an Elner train approaching in the distance. Here's a photo of Madame Asta Souvrina and her dog listening to the radio. Here's Bobby Fischer taking on 50 people at once. Can you believe it? This photo was taken in 1964. He actually won against 47 of them. Amazing! Here's a picture of witches from the year 1875. Here's a look at some experienced ticker tape operators, hard at work on the New York Stock Exchange back in 1915. They were diligently focused, making sure everything ran smoothly, and that they were precisely monitoring all the market activity. All right, check this out. This photo shows something called ski sailing. Apparently, it was a brand new sport invented in Austria. And here it is being demonstrated in St. Moritz, Switzerland back in January of 1938. Pretty cool, huh? Here's the only photograph ever taken of a living quagga, which is now extinct. It was taken way back in 1870. Here's a shot of an Empire State Building worker hanging out on a crane high above New York City. This was way back in 1930. Here's a picture of the most decorated dog of World War I. This photo was taken around 1920. Here's a photo from 1937 showing a group of young Soviet kids. They're all wearing gas masks, probably taking part in a war preparation exercise. It's a pretty intense image. Here's a photo from the Vietnam War. We see a United States corpsman, a medic, carrying an injured child away from the fighting in Hue. All right, check this out. This is a mirror selfie from a German fraternity, way back in 1912. Here's a fun one. This picture shows a game of human chess in St. Petersburg, Russia. It was taken around 1924. All right, here's a photo of American singer Al Johnson. He's in character, playing a black man on the set of the movie Bar of Wonders. This was all the way back in 1934. A fishing boat in New England, completely covered in ice. This was actually taken way back in 1916, but not in New England. It's from British Columbia. This is a really charming Christmas scene. It's a toy store window display from New York, way back in 1910. Doesn't it just make you want to step inside? Here's a photo of Mark Twain, whose real name was Samuel L. Clemens, with his longtime friend, John T. Lewis. It's believed that Lewis was probably the inspiration for the character Jim in Huckleberry Finn. They're standing together at Quarry Farm in Elmira, New York, back in 1903. Here's a photo of a stewardess, taking a look at a new uniform proposal for Scandinavian Airlines. Looks like it wasn't approved. This photo was taken in 1964. Here's a photo from West Virginia, taken way back in 1908. You can see a young coal trapper hard at work inside a mine. Here's the story of 15-year-old Mary. In 1978, she survived a horrific attack. Her attacker assaulted her, then, unbelievably, cut off her arms with an axe. After that, he threw her down a 30-foot cliff and left her for dead. Here's a look at two common ways people hauled water back in Old Mexico and the southwestern United States. This photo was taken in Texas in 1905. A young boy, probably around the age of 10 or so, offering comfort to his friend. It looks like they're in Scotland. This photo was taken way back in 1968. Here's a photo showing British Army soldiers taking a shower thanks to a mobile bath unit. This was in Burma, now called Myanmar, during the Second World War, from 1939 to 1945. Here's a photo of Helen, who was an American Indian telephone and switchboard operator in Montana back in 1925. A group of female guards. These women were on duty at the Naval Ordnance Plant, which was being run by the Hudson Motor Car Company in Detroit, Michigan. They're learning how to sight guns. This photo was taken on August 7, 1942. Here's a look at a portable holding cell used by police officers back in the early 1920s. This photo, taken in Los Angeles in 1920, gives you a glimpse into law enforcement practices from that era. Wow, check this out. It's a picture of 4 generations all together, and the photo was taken way back in the 1880s. Amazing. This photo takes us back to London on New Year's Eve in 1930. We're in Hector's Devonshire restaurant, and there's a barman hard at work putting together a cocktail. Imagine the atmosphere. This photo shows photographer Tony Frissell visiting with children in Europe. It was taken around 1945. Here's a shot from April 1939. It shows a whirling plow, used by the United States Sugar Corporation, working in the soft, powdery muck. They were using it to get the soil ready for planting sugarcane. And this was all happening near Pahokee, Florida.